Every year, thousands of UK landlords quit the rental market, not because they can't make money, but because of tenants that turn their property into a financial and emotional nightmare. You think it's just a broken boiler or a bit of rent arrears? Think again. Being a landlord is supposed to be a business. You provide a home, they pay the rent. Simple, right? But when a tenancy goes wrong, it really goes wrong. And some tenants, whether intentionally or not, can leave you dealing with thousands in damage, legal stress and months of recovery. In this video, I'm going to break down the tenant behaviours that push landlords to the edge and why it matters whether you're a landlord, a tenant or just someone watching the rental market change. If you're in the game or just thinking about getting in, do me a favour, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into it. The problem: landlords are quitting. The media like to spin it one way or the other. Greedy landlords, helpless tenants. But here's the truth. More than 250,000 UK landlords have left the market in the past 5 years. Why? Because the risk versus reward has shifted. Profits are shrinking and the headaches are growing. Tax changes and regulations have played a role, but one of the biggest reasons landlords walk away? Tenant horror stories. Let me give you some facts. According to NALA, 1 in 5 landlords say they've experienced serious rent arrears in the last 12 months. Over 40% say disputes with tenants made them reconsider continuing in the business. And evictions can take 6 to 12 months, even when tenants stop paying. This isn't just bad business, it's emotionally draining. And it's pushing small landlords, the very people who keep the rental market moving, out of the game. Tenant types that push landlords to the brink. Let's talk about the behaviours that cause landlords to quit. The rent dodger. The tenant starts off fine, pays on time and smiles at viewings. Then 1 month, the rent's late. Next month, nothing. Suddenly it's 3 months and they know exactly how long the eviction process takes. Meanwhile, they're posting holiday pics on Instagram while you're begging the court for a hearing date. The disrepair accuser. These tenants know how to weaponise the legal system. You serve notice, they file a disrepair claim. True or not, it delays the eviction by months. One landlord I spoke to had to fork out £3,000 in legal fees just to prove the claim was false. The silent destroyer. They don't complain, they don't communicate. Then you finally regain possession and it looks like a bomb's gone off. Walls kicked in, carpets destroyed, rubbish piled high. And no deposit can cover that level of damage. The professional tenant. These are the ones who know the system better than you do. They'll sign your AST and smile, and then stop paying rent, raise disputes, demand repairs and refuse access. They know you can't harass, pressure or evict them without a court order. Some even brag about it online. The subletter. You rent it to one person, 6 months later you find 3 strangers living there via Airbnb or friends and family. The original tenant's nowhere to be seen. Now you're dealing with unauthorised occupants and possible licensing issues. Why tenants should care? You might be thinking, why should tenants care if landlords quit? Well, here's why. When landlords leave the market, rents go up. There's fewer houses and there's more demand. The quality of housing goes down, there's less investment, and councils get overwhelmed with housing needs. This means longer waiting lists, more people pushed into emergency accommodation, and rising tensions in communities. Good landlords want stable tenants and solid income, but bad tenants ruin it for everyone, including other renters. And as rules tighten, landlords start avoiding DSS tenants, students, families with pets, and anyone without perfect references. That's how one bad tenant can impact hundreds of future applicants. Real life nightmares. The drug den. One landlord rented a flat in Birmingham to a single mum with references. 6 months later, the neighbours reported constant noise. It turned out her boyfriend was running a cannabis grow inside. The cost? £12,000 in damage and legal fees. The legal loophole. Another landlord served a Section 21. The tenant raised a disrepair issue just before the court date. The case was delayed for 4 months. In the meantime, they stopped paying rent, costing the landlord over £6,000. The Pet Palace. A tenant said they had no pets. The landlord visited after eviction to find out they had 2 cats, a dog and a rabbit. The smell was unbearable. The cost for new flooring was about £3,500 and the void period was 2 months. The serial subletter. A London flat was rented to a young professional. He turned it into a revolving door of Airbnb guests. The council got involved and the landlord had to pay a £7,500 fine for breaching licensing rules. Why landlords are getting pickier? Because of all of this, landlords are doing stricter referencing, they're asking for higher deposits where allowed, refusing certain tenant groups, and even selling up altogether. It's not about discrimination, it's about protection. When the rules make it hard to evict, only option left is to avoid the risk in the first place. But that means even good tenants find it harder to get homes. How to avoid nightmare tenants. If you're a landlord watching this, here's how to reduce your risk. Always reference properly. Check credit, employment and landlord history. Use rent guarantee insurance, but read the fine print. Use professional letting agents with experience. Avoid shortcuts on paperwork. Every clause matters. Schedule midterm inspections and keep everything documented, and most importantly, trust your gut. If something feels off at the viewing, it probably is. What tenants can do to stand out? If you're a tenant, this part's for you. You can stand out by being transparent, responding quickly, provide strong references, offer to set up standing orders, keep the place clean and report issues early. Landlords talk. If you're a good tenant, your next application will be much smoother. Landlords are not quitting just because of tax or regulations. They're quitting because of stress, because of tenants that cost them thousands, because of a system that takes months to resolve disputes. And when good landlords leave, everyone loses. It leads to higher rents, lower standards and less trust between landlords and tenants. So whether you're renting, investing or just watching, this matters. Have you ever dealt with a nightmare tenant or been in a situation where things spiraled out of control? Share your story in the comments, you never know who it might help. And if you want more honest content about the UK property market, do me a favour, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you on the next one.